The Cobweb, also known as the Madness Network, is a pseudo-psychic network that seemingly connects all Malkavians. Some can barely perceive it. Few can actually tap into it. While most of the clan is subconsciously aware of its existence, most individual Malkavians will only experience the Cobweb once or twice a year, like an old forgotten radio suddenly switching on. The experience is different for every Malkavian. The Cobweb catches thoughts and memories chaotically, then moves them as spiders would carry them along its strands. Sometimes the memories won't make sense logically, temporally or otherwise. The true purpose of the Cobweb is unknown. Some say it is the remnants of the clan founder's consciousness. Greetings, kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our world of darkness and the Laws of the Night playlist. In this playlist, we go over LARP, live action roleplay rules for Vampire the Masquerade, which are presented to us by Mind's Eye Theater and by Night Studios. So, Loresheets in the book are marked down as a special type of background advantage. You can buy these at character creation, or with your storyteller's permission, you can buy them after your character's already been in play for some time. This is something that you're going to want to talk to your storyteller about, because not all Loresheets will fit within the confines of a chronicle. Loresheets are a special way of not only giving your character a special advantage or advantages in gameplay, but also tying them in to the overall background meta plot within the Vampire the Masquerade storyline. I have found as a storyteller that Loresheets tend to be ignored at character creation just because it's a new mechanic and people don't exactly know what it is. Now, depending on when you're watching this, or even in your chronicle setting, this might not be true for you. You could very well have a game there people are obsessed with Loresheets, and with good reason. People who are used to playing Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition tabletop will know the benefits of Loresheets and exactly what they can do for your character. And there are several options in Laws of the Night and in future publications coming out from by Night Studios. That being said, I do want to point out that Loresheets are a lot different in LARP than they are in tabletop. In the tabletop setting of Vampire the Masquerade, Loresheets are going to add a special nuance to your character sheet. You might get a bump here and there in a background or even a discipline power because you have an associated lore sheet. However, in LARP, Loresheets tend to be a heavier hitting mechanic. They give you massive advantages, and they also should be something that are limited in a game, maybe only allowing a certain number of people out of a larger group to take that amount. Or you could build an entire chronicle completely around a lore sheet. Another huge difference from tabletop to LARP is that, much like all other backgrounds in LARP, the lore sheets are limited to 3 different advantages instead of 5 as they are in tabletop, as there is a condensed way of running things as with all backgrounds in LARP compared to tabletop. Purchasing lore sheets can be done with your free points at character creation. At character creation, you get 7 free background traits, and you are completely allowed to dump those points into a lore sheet, getting those free dots. And I want to stress that very much because there's a difference between dots and experience traits. At character creation, you will be given a free amount of experience traits to flesh out your character, to make them an individual. And when you have those are to be spent as experience points. Backgrounds are purchased at 3 experience per dot. But with your 7 free traits of dots, you can just take the points completely without worrying about the expanded cost when it comes to experience. That being said, if you wanted to buy the Sect Veteran Loresheet, for example, taking that would cost you 6 of your 7 free dots of backgrounds. However, if you're going to buy it with your free XP at character creation, it would cost you 3 points for a level 1, 6 points for a level 2, and 9 experience points for a level 3. Bring the total to 18 points if you wanted to buy a complete lore sheet. Now, personally, I am the kind of person who likes to buy things little by little over time so that my character has a chance to grow into what those advantages are. That is my style of playing. It is not the only style of playing. And being able to start with a small amount of a lore sheet to build up the tension is a lot of fun. With that being said, you do not have to buy these in order of experience. You do not have to start with level 1. You could very well start with the 3-point background instead, because what these are associated advantages with the meta plot that your character can take advantage of in any order they wish. You could buy a 1, you could buy 1 and a 3, you could buy just the second one. You can do it any way you want to. And that needs to be kept in mind, that these are not a progression style trait. In that way, multiple characters could start with the same lore sheet and have completely different advantages for taking it. So tonight we're going over the Cobweb, the thing that integrates the way Malkavians interact with each other. And this is something that has always been a part of the Malkavians, in my opinion. In fact, I've found that I feel like they've kind of toned down the Malkavians a little bit, because most of the time the Cobweb was something that all Malkavians just instinctually have, and they still pretty much do. This lore sheet kind of makes it so that some Malkavians have a stronger connection to the Cobweb than others. And I kind of like that, because it does take a lot of pressure off the storyteller, because now you can plan ahead for how things are going to be used, which can be very useful when it comes to making things seem more sporadic and chaotic. And that's exactly what the Cobweb should be used for. So let's go ahead and take a look at the benefits that taking this lore sheet for Clan Malkavian can add to your story. Investing 1 dot in this lore sheet gets you a break in the static. Once per game, as a simple action, you may ask the storyteller each of the following questions. Am I in danger? And if so, how? Am I on the right track? And if not, what am I doing wrong? Are there any other Malkavians around? The storyteller will give a reply, taking on the role of the Cobweb. The reply is almost never clear or obvious. You may only catch sporadic words or images in your mind emanating from the Cobweb that provide you a small insight into your current actions. From your character's perspective, they may have attempted to consult the Cobweb, or the Cobweb could have reached out to them unsolicited. So with a break in the static, basically what's going on here is your character, as a Malkavian who has this dot of this lore sheet, is either trying to awaken some type of psychic awareness, which is going to help them understand these specific questions, or the Cobweb themselves is giving them a warning, almost like a danger sense in some cases, or also the ability to notify whether or not there is another Malkavian in the area. I like the way that this is done, because it reflects the way that Malkavians used to be run prior to 5th edition anyway. In my personal opinion, I think that if you're playing a Malkavian in a LARP setting, you should probably at least invest 1 dot into the Cobweb for this benefit. Investing 2 dots into this lore sheet gets you the Call. 3 times per game, you can spend 1 standard action to broadcast a single 5-sentence message to the Cobweb, or create a special beacon, flagging a location as a special place of interest. Any Malkavian in the same city can perceive such messages or beacons, even if they do not have this lore sheet. How they perceive the message, and if they choose to travel to any beacon, is wholly up to them. I like the Call because it mimics the way that the Presence Power Summon works, on how it doesn't force a character to go into some type of direction. And you can really stop and think about how your character is going to utilize this. Is this something that you're doing on purpose? Is it something that you're doing maliciously? The Call really does open up a variety of ways of messing with your own clan, or at least trying to keep you all connected to some greater advantage or disadvantage, depending on how you decide you're going to run this. The Call being able to open up communication like this does make things very interesting. Could you imagine playing a character who kidnaps a Malkavian, and then suddenly every Malkavian in the city is just coming in from all sides? There's just so many interesting ways that you can run this one. Investing 3 dots into this lore sheet gets you Pluck the Strands. 3 times per game, you can utilize the Cobweb to obtain information that would normally require a skill check to know, such as academics, finance, science, or occult, including lore checks that would have a difficulty of 6 or less. Instead of the normal difficulty assigned by the storyteller, your difficulty is always 3, as you tap into the shared consciousness of your clan. You can't learn personal information such as the location of someone's haven or who murdered your ally. The storyteller may choose to tell you that the information that you look to glean is too mysterious. In this case, the attempt does not count as having spent one of your 3 uses of this advantage. However, you can glean information about an oblivion ceremony you witnessed, or know the precise process on how to repair a broken semi-truck. The examples that they give for Pluck the Strand and how they work, I think, are kind of interesting because, I don't know, the way that they're presented here kind of comes off as a, by the way, you can do this also mentality. But really what you're doing is you're gaining information from stealing it from other Malkavians' minds that are in the area. I like this a lot because it does open up a lot of interesting ideas for story hooks to be just thrown into the Malkavian network. And when you have a group that could be as tenaciously active or boringly inactive as Clan Malkavian tends to do one way or the other, there's really no telling what's going to happen here. But the fact that you can do this 3 times per night, and if it fails, that doesn't count as one of your 3 uses. That's pretty interesting. Or at least, not if it fails, but if the storyteller tells you that they're not gonna give you that information, it doesn't count towards one of your 3 uses. I think that's very interesting, and I think that opens the door to a lot of possibilities when it comes to just the idea of a shared consciousness in a LARP setting. So the Cobweb, Malkavian-specific lore sheet, is one of those things that really can just add a lot of interesting detail to a game. How many Malkavians do you have in game can really determine what kind of information your character is going to end up getting. Not to mention how many NPC Malkavians are in the game. This is a chance for the storyteller to really just kind of throw like clues and stuff towards characters if they're asking roundabout right questions. because sometimes it can be a little difficult to get a story going. And this, I feel, is a gift from the gaming gods that allow it to happen. With that, I am Voivode Maquette, and thank you for joining me with this look at the Cobweb, which is a lore sheet that's Malkavian specific for Vampire the Masquerade in the Mind's Eye Theater Laws of the Night. Good evening.